Good morning. 3, 2.
Oh,
Hello, welcome to day 3. The boys woke up a little earlier than they expected because they wanted to go see a really cool movie this morning and get you guys a full review. So
Yes.
we're going to sound a little congested. One from us coming home too late, and also more critter action.
Yeah.
Well, don't make sure you listen to the full podcast for that whole story. It's going to be a blast. But we saw a lot of movies yesterday, so we got a good amount to get through.
One could argue too many movies?
Maybe.
Question mark.
I mean, one of them was called Butt Boy, so maybe we're at the bottom of the barrel.
I'm excited to talk about Butt Boy.
Let's go ahead and start at the beginning of the day. We both started with WYRM.
WYRM, that's WYRM.
Mm-hmm. Now, this movie is
In case you're
directed by
wondering.
Christopher Winterbar, and the quickie synopsis: it is a strangely futuristic yet analog alternative universe. A lonely, dinosaur-obsessed youth struggles to complete a unique school requirement or risk being held back and enduring a lifetime of embarrassment. Now, when I read this, when I signed up for this movie to see if I could get it, Caitlin Conway, thank you guys. Thanks for joining us this morning. When I read the synopsis,
It's too early. What are you doing?
What are you doing here? When I was picking my movies, I thought it said a young dinosaur boy struggles in a futuristic yet analog world, and I was like,
so you were a little disappointed that it wasn't a little dinosaur boy.
Like at no point he even turned into it. Just like, oh, he makes dioramas. I can make dioramas.
Yeah, I do make dioramas.
I make them all the time. So yeah, but the movie's still fine.
The movie was pretty good. It had a lot of solid jokes. It was very funny. It was very much in the vein of Steve compared it to Napoleon Dynamite, and one I'm trying to remember what it was specifically, but there was like living with the uncle and all that stuff. There's a lot of parallels to Napoleon Dynamite. It definitely owes a lot to Wes Anderson, I think. It's like a lot of like cute twee indie dramedy type stuff, but I think the best part about the movie is the initial setup when it says like, oh, he's got a thing he's got to do and face a lifetime embarrassment. In this world, there's these collars that you get until there's like stages of your sexual development that you have a collar on your neck until you have your first kiss, and then it gets moved to your wrist. And I don't think, do we ever really find out what is supposed to help with the wrist situation?
The wrist is sex.
The wrist is sex. So they monitor your sexual progress closely. So all the pressure you felt in adolescence about that stuff, multiply by 100, because now the government's keeping an eye on you.
The way the movie progresses, though, you're realizing more and more that this is a lot of first-person interpretation of these scenarios, like the pressures you feel to have your first kiss. Like, he is going to be held back if he does not go. He won't go to high school if he doesn't have his first kiss.
The best like depiction of that, I think, is he has they're supposed to hand him all in for their school picture, and he has a mini panic attack and runs to the bathroom, and he's trying to figure out his collar, and then he turns around and the janitor is there as full mid-40s adult, and he's got his neck collar on, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah. So he doesn't, and it's. He tries to tamper with it, and a great joke is that it has one of those ink blots that like fake money does at a bank, so it just sprays all over him, so everyone knows that he tried to take it off and cheat. It's very much a coming of age story. And while this is all happening, they're also dealing with the death of a brother, and he is prepping for the funeral of it. That is when I think it's a fair criticism that like about. I thought that the movie was going to be about him getting his first kiss.
Yeah,
that happens halfway through, and so then he gets to move on, and it's kind of dealing with the grief of losing his brother from the point of view of his parents, who are now very estranged from each other and their own families. Their dad is unbelievably constipated, just going through cans of lubricant / it had something else on it. I don't remember, but
he needs help.
He needs help. He can't eat hot foods in the bathroom. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that was a good bit.
It does lose a good bit of its style in the back half of the movie.
Yeah, it becomes
until it ends.
Yeah,
and then it brings back some of that silliness. So the world feels strange. The world, like it, not strange as in like fun and quirky. The consistency of it kind of changes about halfway through, and then we get back to like the fun and wonderment at the end when we get to what the memorial service actually is
Yeah.
for the brother.
Yeah, it becomes more of a standard indie dramedy, but then and it kind of loses, it loses a little bit of its luster. I like the actor that played the uncle a lot. I thought he brought a fun energy. I cast across the board, especially the two siblings at the core, great. And they talked a little bit about, I guess they cast the girl first, so when they were casting the guy who's the main character, it kind of became like trying to match her, which I think benefited them because she was really talented.
And they got lucky with
And
it.
also, when you talk about the consistency world, actually, one of my favorite jokes put question marks in my brain because he does something again to try and like get his first kiss, and there's a character in a wheelchair who's hilarious. She's great, and she's like Ted Bundy did the same thing. You have the same idea as Ted Bundy has. Super funny. Her delivery of it's super funny, but then I was like, wait, is Ted Bundy in this world?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like suddenly I started questioning, like, wait, how close is this reality to our reality? You know what I mean? Like, which stuff like that. I don't, maybe it's just me thing. Stuff like that throws me off.
I mean, the futuristic aspect of it is just the collars. Really, everything else is a
The
heightened,
90s.
Everything else is a heightened look at the 90s
Yeah.
because people are getting the internet. Like you don't know, you never see what it is. It's just like this green glow that comes out of a computer screen.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What's there?" And he's like, "Elephants, everything, Like,
Everything,
everything.
yeah.
You can do anything when you go on the internet."
Yeah.
So there's a fun like mysticism
There's
about
all
it.
type of pictures of it, not just naked bodies, but murdered people too.
Yeah. But also our main character never goes to look at it, so we never like see it. And also way we ever see anyone using the keyboard is just slapping their hands around on top of the keyboard. So it's like, oh yeah, this is fully his interpretation of what
Yeah.
he thinks he's seeing. So what would you give it?
I'd give it man, it's weird because it's like 7.5 feels low, 8 feels a little high, but eight,
I give it
like a solid like B minus.
I think I liked it a little bit more. I'd give it an 8.5.
Yeah.
I'll eat up like coming of age stories. I really
Yeah.
thought it was funny. There's I think the movie really hits its stride when it's trying to get him to have his first kiss.
100%.
And exploring what that means. At like when we go to a emptied pool and someone tries to do a trick off a BMX bike. Into
Hilarious.
it. The timing, the pacing, the staging of it all, hilarious. Also, you understand it shows you clearly like how the collars come off.
Yeah.
And like what happens after that. Like it's a very important moment in the movie. And when it does get more serious, I still enjoy it. And especially there's a scene between his friend who is now in a wheelchair and himself, and it's just having a heart to heart that they need to have. And I really appreciate the acting in that scene from the lead and from the supporting actress. So yeah, I'd give it an 8. I'd give it 8.5.
Yeah.
I'd recommend seeing it if you were into Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
I think it's less weird in some aspects, but then weirder in some other aspects.
Yeah.
It's just like maybe a more modern take on that. But then after that, we split up and we went saw different movies. You saw Jallikattu.
Yeah.
And that is directed by Liho Jose Pilzeri.
Pelisseri, I think.
Pelisseri,
Yeah.
there you go.
I'll read the synopsis. The line between man and beast dissolves when a buffalo escapes slaughter in a sleepy South Indian village, leaving a trail of chaos and explosive machismo in its wake. It's a landlocked Jaws, a bestial 2001, and a contemporary Mad Max Fury Road all rolled into one. So I'll say this right off the bat. That's a lofty expectations to.
That's
to
why I did not go to that
freight
movie.
onto this movie. But I 100% see where this was coming from for the person doing the synopsis. But I don't think it's fair because I think having that expectation, it took me about halfway through the movie before it clicked to like what this movie actually is. I like that movie a lot. I think because there's been a few movies where it's like, oh yeah, this year there's like, oh yeah, I've seen like WYRM to a degree. It's like I've seen this. You know what I mean? Like I kind of know what this thing's doing. Jallikattu, I have not. You know what I mean? Like I like being transported to. There's something fun about being transported to a world like WYRM, that's like slightly off from ours. But I think there's something more transporting of being dropped into a world that exists in our world and that I will never have any chance of experiencing. So there's this little town in India that exists that apparently is communist. So they are all about fuck you to the state.
So this is modern day.
Yeah, this is modern day. It's all about they do not like the cops show up at one point and they do not like the cops at all. Nobody in this town. And so the villager, this buffalo gets out, and it's also there's some modernity. There's cars, there's electricity, but there's also like the guy that was going to kill a buffalo that does the meat is doing it like about a mile out of town. And it's small enough that when the buffalo gets out, it can fuck up the town. You know what I mean? Like it does a significant amount of damage. But what does more damage is I would say by the end, every man in this village is after this buffalo as a big horde, and that does more damage than they just had 4 guys, and it's like these 4 guys are gonna go get this thing. They probably would have been fine. But like once everybody gets involved, that is the force that is more damaging than the buffalo. I will say, kind of like Saint Maud, there's a bit at the end that I actually like, but also just overemphasizes the point. And I don't think it's a spoiler, basically, because the still image we have on ours is cavemen, and so the last image is a bunch of cavemen hunting a buffalo, and there's few images before that really I think elegantly like display the ideas that the movie's dealing with, and then it does that, and it's cool to see, but it's also like I got it. I know what's happening here. I will say the Fury Road part is that this movie has crazy momentum. It is always moving. You only get to spend real time with 2 characters, but that's kind of it's more of the village as a whole is a character and what that is it's going through. And I think the momentum, the idea of being in this space that me as a Western person who hates The Fly will probably never get to experience, and some of the themes it dealt with man's impact on nature, the primal aspects that we haven't quite dealt with yet. All of that stuff I thought was really engaging, and it's unlike just like another movie we're going to see in the sense that I've never seen it before. It is not like that movie in any other sense, but it is, and that's one of the reasons I come to Fantastic Fest. Like, oh shit, I would not have seen this. I have not seen this, and I'm glad I have.
What would you rate it, and would you ever own it?
I wouldn't own it, but I would give it like an 8.5. I really enjoyed, and the cast is like the guy that introduced the movie was like, yeah, there's like 4 actual actors in this. The rest are locals. You know what I mean? And you can sense that it has a very like. I will say the only problem with that is there's like 80 people, and majority of them have the same mustache and the same haircut, and so you kind of lose track of like, wait, is that the guy that hit his wife? I really want to see that guy go away, but I don't know if this is him or not. But yeah, I enjoyed it, especially by the end. The end is insane. The end is like. And especially and also good job that I don't quite know if there were special effects in this, and B what they were. You know, so that's pretty impressive for a movie like this, because it could not have been done for a lot of money.
No.
Yeah.
But based on what I've heard as well. But that's cool. It sounds cool.
Yeah. What did you see during this time?
Pelican Blood. It's a
You explained this to me, and I still don't think I quite understand.
It's a movie from Germany and Bulgaria, and
Okay.
it's directed by Katrin Gebe.
Do you feel bad that you're German?
They
Worm reference.
Yeah. Katrin was actually there, and a little backstory. This is her sophomore film, and her first film got picked up by Drafthouse Distribution in cinemas, and because they were big supporters of her.
Yeah.
And so they helped produce this one. So
Cool.
A little bit of favoritism, a little bit of nepotism.
Snap.
No, they and also cool, just behind the scenes stuff. She came and did the interview, and she was great. She was super cool, and she had a baby right when production started. And
Of this movie?
Of this movie.
Oh,
And so when I
geez.
get into the synopsis, you're like, oh, there's kind of like a parallel there. And she talked about like how she knew it would be tough, but she clearly was more focused on the movie than like she thought that could happen, and the nanny would help, and then she could finish the movie and then go be mom. You know,
Yeah.
for like a couple months, and then none of that happened.
Yeah.
So it became very stressful. Also, her partner / boyfriend is the DP. And
Oh, no.
It's really cool talking about that, because they're like, we know how to talk to each other, and also we have a little language on set for how to get the shot that I want. And when
Yeah.
it comes like a little tap on the shoulder, and he always knows like, okay, now. Like,
That's
push on
cool, but I
this.
would imagine both of them working on the same movie
No,
while the
but she
baby
was
happened.
she was candid. She was like, yes, that was not great, but he's been the DP on every single one of her projects
Yeah.
up to this point, and it looked great. Like, it
Yeah,
looked really,
cool.
really good. So Pelican Blood, and I'll mention what the reference is to as well, what that means, Pelican Blood. German acting treasure Nina Haas, amazing.
Yeah.
Headlines, Katrin Geba's sophomore feature about a single mother who adopts and won't give up on a troubled little girl with a horrific past. Now, Nina Haas apparently is a theatrical, like, star in Germany, and she's
Yeah.
been doing very selective art house movies in Germany that have been nominated for awards there.
Oh, cool.
And I think can you look up Nina Haas really quick?
I'm gonna.
Because I think she may have been on Homeland. They threw out that word like really fast, and like, wait, that's the one thing American audiences would have known out of the
Yeah.
things you said.
She was in Phoenix Witch. I feel like I saw her, actually. Hold on. We'll get there.
We'll find it.
We're getting there. You keep talking. Oh yeah, she was on Homeland.
There you go.
Yeah, she played
So,
Astrid.
There you go. Did you watch Homeland?
Like not when this girl was on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, she was very talented. This movie is about a mother and her adoptive daughter who live out on a ranch in, we're told, Germany. We found out it's actually shot in Bulgaria, and it was very pretty. And she trains police horses and like gets them ready for riots, so so they don't get scared. So she's training the emotion out of the animal, which is very important. They can't have the animals freaking out when like a beer bottle gets thrown at their face or fireworks go off next to their ears. It's like the way they simulate it. You're like, I still feel bad for this horse. Like, this is not fair. At one point, a horse comes back from a riot and a beer bottle exploded in its face, and it's like all cut up, and it's like, and it's having a freak out, and I'm like. Yeah,
I would also have a
freak out. But anyways, during this, she wants to adopt another daughter, but due to laws in Germany, single mothers cannot adopt. So she goes to another country.
Yeah.
We're not told which one. I'm going to guess it's Bulgaria because it's another country that does not speak German. And so she adopts this girl, and she's very cute. She's an adorable little girl. And when they come home, everything's great, and then things start getting bad, and like bad. Like, she shits all over the bathroom, and then like rubs it everywhere, and then starts screaming at the top of her lungs for hours and will not clean it up. And or she, what did she do? She brings a lighter to school and like sets a fire. She sets a fire in her sister's room. She and like, you're just trying to figure out like what happened. Like, this girl's 5. How is she being this violent? The one that was like there's a point where you see like a little like she like decapitated animals and like put them on sticks and stuff and like made a little like thing.
I think that's my bail button on that.
Oh, there's another one that's my bail button. Where I'm like, that is a bail button. There's another one that happens after where you're like, you should have
at least send her to a psychologist or something.
So they do, and right at the beginning.
Okay.
Like, so because after like the first like full freak out, they go to a psychologist and they give her an MRI so they can see like what's happening. Like, did she have like an abuse that has damaged her brain? You find out that her amygdala did not form because of the trauma, the way that it should have, because of the trauma she experienced when she was a baby. We find out her original mother was a prostitute, and when John came over and she asked for money, he killed her and left the baby there. And the baby for hours was just sitting in front of her dead mom, and they said they found bite marks all over the mom because the baby was trying to wake up the mom. So you're like, Jesus Christ, this kid's had it rough. And then like, so and she always talks about like this like imaginary friend that she has that's been protecting her. Yeah, there. And the more you like watch the movie, you see like she's been drawing all over the walls of like this thing. And the mom's just trying to like, this kid's been through 5 homes. The alternative the psychologist has is to send this girl to a home where she's going to live the rest of her life, and she's going to get the help that she needs, because you find out that she doesn't have emotions, but they're like, well, she smiled when she saw me. She's like, yeah, she saw you smile, and she knew that you wanted that, so she used that to get something.
Oh, cool.
And you're like, same feeling, but you're like, but the girl does not know how to do anything else, because everybody else has abandoned her. And the first person that she loved was murdered in front of her.
Yeah.
So there's not real like at the same time you're like, God, I fucking hate this kid. But
Yeah.
what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
And so this mom goes to extreme lengths to the detriment of her career and her relationship with her daughter.
Yeah.
To try to get this girl to just to emote. And the part of the movie that I'm like, this is rough. This is when we get into arts house bullshit that I'm not a huge fan of, but it's not a big part of the movie. I didn't say this one. They're like, if you try to activate neural pathways that she did have with the first person she loved, you could maybe get her to emote, and we could develop that.
Oh.
So, or her way of doing it is by taking pills to make her lactate, and then she breastfeeds a 5-year-old. And you're
Okay.
like, and at one point the girl like almost bites her nipple off, and you're like, that was the part that made me cringe the most in the movie, where she
Yeah.
like has to patch up her nipple, and I'm like. But the part of the movie where my bail button was like, you find like a dismembered and like a disemboweled hedgehog in a hamper,
Yeah.
and then oh nope, the part that made me bail was a friend comes over with their adopted
Not on the
kids.
movie, but if you were in the
I was
situation,
in the
you'd be like,
situation.
sorry, you're going to a home.
The friend came over with adopted kid. Raya, the young girl, and this friend go off,
Oh.
and they come back.
Uh-huh.
And the kid wets his pants. And you're like, weird. Okay, so, and then you're like, something must have happened, but we never know, for like a year.
Yeah.
And then they come back again, and he comes over, and he's like, I don't want to play with Raya anymore. And he wets his pants again. And you're like, what happened? Then, when they come back, and this is the same point where you find a little, like, rituals with the heads of the animals and stuff, and you find out that Raya sodomized him with a stick. And you're like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do with this anymore.
Yeah, I don't think we can help this person.
Animal abuse, like you killed animals, like that's really, really bad, and that'd be a bail button. But that would be a bail button.
Yeah, I don't think we can Dexter our way out of this one and turn you into.
So, but this is when it takes. Throughout the movie, there is a spiritual aspect that you're seeing,
Yeah.
and that's what it gets into. So you find out that at a point, and also in like pagan religion in like Germany and Bulgaria, there are evil entities that you can channel into certain things to protect your land.
Okay.
Now, they never really do anything to you, but they will. They believe that it will fuck up anybody that tries to bring you harm.
You gotcha.
Now, this can also be attached to people. So when she was a baby, they believe that like it basically came in to her to protect her. So, and it's not trying to do anything wrong to her.
Yeah.
But it will fuck up everybody else that tries to get close to her. And
Great.
it stunted. And the way they talk about it is that it pushed part of her soul out to make room for this. That's why she does not feel. And so they do like these rituals, but they also talk about like, it's just a big symbolic thing of what a person could go through to try to help somebody. Because they're like, because it's not an adult. This is a baby basically that is like this. And so how do you help someone that is in this scenario? And then they do this ceremony and they do this thing, and it does help. And the moment where you see that it helps is that the girl cries about her mom for the first time and like cries.
Yeah.
And she's never cried before.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, and like we're gonna have to. There's a lot to work because it now she does not have a job anymore because the police don't want to bring they don't want to train there anymore.
Yeah.
And she needs to rebuild her relationship with her older daughter. So it's like it's a tricky situation, and it's a really cool exploration of motherhood.
Yeah.
And willingness to not give up on a kid like this because. We both said we have bail buttons for like these situations, but it's like, what do you do?
In our defense,
Yeah.
the odds of there being like a spirit attached to this child is slim.
Yes, no, and no, of course, and the moment that she bails, but then takes her back, which is clearly the kid manipulating her, and like because she hadn't said mom the whole movie, and then all of a sudden she screams mommy, and it's like she's manipulating you. Was that she steals a box cutter, and then she pulls up her sister's bed, and it's all cut up, and she's like, I want to cut off your skin, and I want to kill her because she's evil and you're evil, and I'm gonna. And it's awful. It's just so fucking bad. But it was really cool because talking about like the parallels or like the opposite tracks of training the emotions out of a horse and this woman trying to train emotions into this girl and failing. And then you find out that because of that, it failed to train a horse properly and it freaked out and ran through some protesters. Like it was bad. And also talking about the coolest last thing I'll say is how they told the movie to the youngest girl because the older girl's like 9 and the mom was okay with them explaining the story to her. For the most part, maybe not the sodomy part, but the way the young girl saw it was in reverse order. So it was a girl who became a wolf queen, and so that's why she became more feral and attacked people and like said violent things because she was becoming like all powerful. Also, it's helpful because she is a very good actress in theater in Bulgaria, and her mom trains. She's a child psychologist, so they figured out the exact narrative they were going to tell this girl, so she could get the right performance out of her. And they did an amazing job, and Nina did an amazing job, and I would recommend it. My criticism is like the breastfeeding stuff is just like I get what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
You should talk to the psychologist like if this was even close to a good idea because I do not think a doctor would have recommended you doing that. For a 5-year-old, I don't. I get what you're saying, but whatever. But
and the pelican blood comes from a folk tale about a pelican feeding itself to its young to.
Yeah, it's blood.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
blood.
blood.
It pokes its chest and pours out its blood to its dead baby chicks and trying to revive them. But
Well, I will say the next movie I saw was not as challenging as that.
but I'd say I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10.
There you go. That's a good rating. I would. My next movie was VHS, directed by Jack Henry Robbins. This bizarre retro comedy shot entirely on a VHS and beta takes us back to when a 12-year-old Ralph, over one formative week, mistakenly records home videos and his favorite late-night shows over his parents' wedding tape. So this movie, that's exactly it. He gets a camcorder for Christmas, and so he's recording everything. And there's these little snippets of his parents' wedding, and you're like, whoops. And early on, he's shown how to record stuff off the TV, which is honestly, it's a bulk of the movie is the stuff he records off the TV. It's very similar to that episode of Rick and Morty where they're using the interdimensional TV and just jumping around. It jumps from sketch to sketch to sketch. Some of these were shorts he shot prior. The best ones are, let me bring up some of the cast. One of my favorites are these porn parodies that there's a guy at the top that explains, like, I guess this is supposed to be airing on TV, so a lot of the like most graphic stuff is cut out. So they cut out what would be the second. Again, this is fake, but it's like as if because it's in the 80s and these porn parodies are supposed to be even older than that. So like late 70s, early 80s, if somebody wanted to make a porn movie to express his agendas on really positive things like global warming, like dealing with global warming and dealing with immigration, but it's through this lens of a porn parody. So it's like it's really loopy. And so like one of them, the global warming was Hot Winter, where a scientist / bodybuilder is trying to save the world from global warming and just happens to be having sex with everybody while he does it. And then best because there's these two women, they're talking about global warming. And then, but they're getting ready for a shower, and so like we need to conserve water. Well, we should shower together, kind of a thing. And it's my friend's here, and they open the door, and he's got a stack of wood. He's like, wood delivery, like that's the type of humor we're going for. And then the other one is these Swedish aliens that it's dealing with him. It's really funny. And then Carrie Kenny from Reno 911. I know she's been in a bunch of other stuff. She does this like Bob Ross painting bit. But it gets to such a heightened like you're like, oh, it's funny because it's her and she's funny, but you're like Bob Ross bit, like okay, but like she's doing the little mountains and then she's like, and over here we have the spaceships, and then it pans over these spaceships, and then back and down here, of course, we've got Dennis, and it pulls out, and she's doing like a slam dunk to like where the glass is shattering on the rim, but her legs are around Dennis Rodman's head, and she's like gripping his hair, and she's like, it's wet down there, it's not all sweat, and so. Bits like that. Tom Lennon has he's trying to. It's one of those like QVC shows, and then oh man, I'm going to mispronounce this. Mark Proksch. He plays the what is it? Energy vampire on What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, and he's on The Office and stuff.
Yeah, he has a bit where it's basically Antiques Roadshow. And so like somebody brings this like ornate bowl and he's like, oh yeah, this actually was when they did heart transplants. They would put the heart in this. Person would always die. But they thought if it was in a nice bowl, it would preserve better as opposed to like they used to use a coffee tin. They were wrong. They eventually learned after everybody died. But like bits like that, and they introduce early on this idea that on one of the things, it's like one of these QVC, like not QVC, one of these like public access interview shows where this woman has a book where it's like, hey, the VHS culture where we're recording stuff is going to destroy us. Everything, we're going to view everything through a screen, and it introduces this idea that like reality might start altering, and so the stuff on the VHS starts to bleed through into this boy's reality a little bit. And it's fun. It's a fun little like sketch comedy. It's all shot on VHS and beta. I recommend it. It's so the person, the director, you notice his last name was Robbins. He's Susan Sarandon and Tim Robbins both show up, and because he's their kid. So this will be somewhere. You know what I mean? This will show up somewhere.
In some way, what would you give it?
I would give it you know what? I'd give it a 9. I thought it was really funny.
Nice.
I really liked it.
Same time you were watching that, I was watching the Wrinkles the Clown documentary.
Yes.
Directed by Michael Beach Nichols. Pennywise isn't real, but Wrinkles is. The documentary explores the story of the infamous freaky clown from Naples, Florida, who makes a living being hired by parents to terrorize their naughty children. This movie, I was not actually super aware of who Wrinkles the Clown was. I was aware of the clown craze that happened a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And this, Wrinkles has been kind of like the catalyst for all of that. The coolest part about this documentary, because I just recommend you guys see it, there's not much else to talk about, is that the documentary, the way it tells the story, at first leans into what you think or who you think Wrinkles the Clown is underneath the mask. Like a lot of people are like, oh, he's like a old lonely man who just lives in a van and like eats, like he's drunk all the time and he's vile and whatever, and and that's what they show you for a long time.
Yeah.
But then you meet the real Wrinkles and you find out what it really is, and turns out, gang, like most internet videos, is fake. All of it.
Yeah.
All of it, which but it talks also about folklore, and that's modern folklore where it's like kids doing these YouTube videos and like challenging each other, like Charlie and others, and like Slenderman and stuff, where they're just like, it's a rite of passage if you call Wrinkles' number and you get his voicemail. It's very scary. He's laughing, and you meet even parents who called him to terrorize their kids.
Yeah.
But Wrinkles never went out and terrorized people. Really, people just called him, and sometimes he answered. And in the Wrinkles voice, and would be like, I'm coming for you, and stuff like that. Yeah. And the real Wrinkles actor was like, yeah, I think it's a little fucked up that people are like actually using this to discipline their kids. It's more supposed to be a fun joke. That it was just a fun joke at first. And also they do talk about like, my negative is that they gloss over the fact that during that clown craze where other people were dressing up and like luring kids into the park or whatever, there was a moment where a kid, 16-year-old kid dressed up as a clown and went in with a gun somewhere. And because it's a quick news report that goes by, they really gloss over the fact that that kid died.
Yeah.
And now he brought a gun in, and like there's a whole situation there. But after that is shown, they cut back to Wrinkles for a funny moment where he's like, "So yeah, I kind of pulled back a little bit after that," and like, I would like to know more about that, because that is not your fault whatsoever. Yeah. You were not propagating that. You were just doing a fun internet thing that got a folklore behind it, and then it exploded. And you seem like just like a regular dude who's just having fun, like editing in After Effects, like that's all you were doing. And so but he still goes out sometimes on Halloween and just kind of like walks through like county fairs and everything. And it was a very sweet and well-made documentary. It was I thought it was very creative, and it's been cool that I've been able to see 2 Halloween-themed documentaries at Fantastic Fest over the past 3 years.
That's cool.
Haunters, highly recommend it, and I do recommend Wrinkles the Clown. I get why people would not watch it because of scary clowns.
Yeah.
But it is very sweet, because kids would call and leave messages. So the director talked about like, we had the log. It was a Google phone number, so you have all the phone numbers and the audio logs. So he started like, he's like, I was like calling kids, and he knew it was a joke. So he just like leaned into it. He's like, I had to keep calling kids, and then I had to ask them to hand the phone over to their parents so I could ask if they could be part of the movie. And the kids are the sweetest. There's one girl, they go and interview it from like Georgia, and she has like a dog. a cat and a bunny, and you just get these like long shots of her riding around in a golf cart with like the pit bull like holding on for dear life, like trying to get around, or she tries to get the bunny to do tricks, and like she talks to her cat really politely because she wants to be nice to it. It's very sweet. There's a lot of sweet little moments in there, and that's where the sweetness ended for the night because
Wait, what would you rate this one?
Oh yeah, 9 out of 10 for
9 out
sure.
of 10. All right.
But the sweetness ended because we went and saw our final movie of the night super fucking late. We were the last screening.
11:45. When they say midnight movie, they're not kidding.
Yeah, we saw a movie titled Butt Boy.
Butt Boy. I will say we also before that there were two shorts, Butt Fantasia and The Procedure 2. I would say Butt Fantasia is weirdly, I would say it's very sweet because of what was the guy, Benny? What was the
older gentleman?
The older gentleman. He's my favorite, but I don't recommend that short. The Procedure was pretty funny, and when you say short, it is.
Yes.
But yeah, so Butt Boy, writer, director, comedian Tyler Cornick's Butt Boy introduces us to Chip, a middle-aged man whose first prostate exam stirs feelings deep inside, leading to an addiction that can only be shown to Fantastic Fest audiences.
Yes.
That is true.
Yes. I would. Yes. So this movie is, because Steve described it because he had heard it from other people, it is a dumb bit that some stoned improv comedians came up with. You're like, wouldn't this be funny? And then what if you turned it into a David Fincher film? Like, and you commit, like you fully commit, and they do. And they do it. This is good filmmaking. I would say that.
Yeah.
Big knock is the cinematography. I think it's they shot it.
I would maybe specify that maybe it's less cinematography and more the lighting.
Maybe it's the lighting,
Yeah.
but it could also be that they were shooting this on the only camera they could find. Like if you said this
probably
was
true.
shot on like an iPhone 3, you're like, man.
Yeah.
Maybe like whatever.
Yeah, I hear you.
And that was disappointing because I kind of wanted a grittier look to it. I wanted it to make it feel a little bit more visceral.
Yeah. On the other hand, I'm shocked they got any money at all to make this movie.
Yeah. If I tell you that, you wouldn't be surprised if I told you that there weren't any actual like recognizable actors in this movie.
No, not one.
Not one.
Not
All right.
one.
So our friend Chip,
Susan Sarandon's not showing up for Butt Boy.
not for Butt Boy.
Yeah.
So Chip gets a prostate exam, and then he.
It books. By the
Yeah,
way,
it sets up really quick.
What you kind of think, you're like, okay, I see where this is going, and you think you kind of like, okay, this is where the whole movie. No, that it does what you think the whole movie's going to do in the first like 10 minutes.
Yeah. He starts shoving stuff up his butt, and it progressively gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So not his butt, not him.
yeah.
I don't know how the physics works
Yeah.
exactly. I don't want to think about it actually. But it goes from like bar soap, TV remote, dog, baby,
Yeah.
and that's when he stops. He stops for 9 years. Goes to AA.
Which, by the way, I had some confusion on that because he's only been in AA for 5 years, and then she specifically relates it to an incident we saw 9 years ago. So it's like, what?
Yeah, maybe.
And that kid's not 9 years. That 9-year card doesn't make any sense. It's like Spider-Man: Homecoming. Oops.
that kid is old.
Yeah, but he's like 5 years old. Or is he not? Whatever. It doesn't matter.
I'll be honest. Little spoiler: he was covered in shit, so I.
Oh
couldn't
yeah,
tell.
we're sorry. We literally we don't want to spoil the movie
We
in
can
case
100% spoil this movie.
in case you don't want to see Butt Boy.
Yeah, I don't think anyone does.
You know what? Here, like I said with Jalakatu, in a very different sense, I wouldn't have seen this any other place other than Fantastic Fest.
Yeah,
I kind of recommend checking it out
but like
just to see.
Yeah, but it's like do you remember it's a less traumatizing like Two Girls One Cup in the sense of that like it's like a challenge for somebody else to go watch this.
But also it's not real.
It isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't, but it was really made.
Yeah, it was really made. But anyway, so a cop gets involved.
9 years later.
9 years later, and
Because Chip gets back to putting stuff up there.
Yeah. Because they meet at AA. Wow, the cops connection. All this actually gets really complicated. Anyway, I actually liked all the interactions with the cop and Chip and everything. It's a fun little cat and mouse game where what the perpetrator is doing is literally the most insane thing you could possibly imagine. I do, yeah, I do like that the cop like starts figuring it out fairly quickly, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that like what his chief's like, wait, you bringing this shit to me, I whatever. And in this situation, you're like, yeah, because that's insane. The chief should be a little bit suspicious because I don't get the impression that this is a thing that happens in this world. It's not like Worm where it's like we're in an alternate reality.
No, it seems
except
like-
that we are because the guy can suck things up his butt.
Yeah, no, like not just that he puts it there. So there's one point where he gets in like a fist fight, Chip and the cop,
Yeah.
and the cop tries to get away, and Chip opens his butt, and a big like tidal wind force tries to suck the whole car.
In there.
Yeah,
There may or may not, no spoilers, there may or may not be an alternate dimension in Chip's butt that is also still inside his butt.
that is his colon.
Yeah.
It is dumb, but the movie knows it's dumb and it treats it as seriously as possible.
You're-
So I can't knock it.
Yeah.
It is the best version of what this is, and I can score it off of its own merits.
Yeah.
But I won't watch it again.
That's fair.
And I don't want anyone I know to watch it again, except for
that's
Steve.
fair.
I'll let Steve do maybe. Steve can do what he's an adult.
He's an adult. He can do what he wants. My one major critique is that it's too long.
Yeah.
It's too
It is
long.
too
Yeah,
long.
it's too long. It's like it's like Worm a little bit where it ends and then it just keeps going and you're like, nah, that's where you're. And actually I think it's something I've been noticing with a lot of movies interesting where you kind of like hit your climax and then you decide to have two other climaxes and it's like no, just
Yeah.
you don't need to pad this out. You know what I mean?
It's cool that they were able to get the money to make this movie, and it's shown at festivals because it's not nothing. You guys, the creators behind this should be proud of their merits, and this will be something on their record that they've made.
Yes. Yeah. So,
they're
what would you rate Butt Boy?
This is pure. I'll give it 2 scores. One on its merit for
Yeah.
what it accomplished, but also like when it came to lighting and stuff like
Yeah.
it and like camera work.
Yeah.
I give it like a 8.5 out of 10.
There you go.
I feel like that's a fair score.
Yeah.
For me, I ripped it. Because we get little ballot cards as we walk out, and you rip the number that you think it got.
Yeah.
So I gave it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
I think a 5 out of 10 for my personal enjoyment of the movie because there's some stuff that's very funny, and I love the true crime aspect of it and someone figuring this out, and how it resolves. Like I thought it was pretty funny,
Yeah.
but that's what I'd give it. What
I
about
gave it
you?
an 8.5 as well. I thought it was a funny, unique concept that I'm glad that they committed to.
Because at first you're like, that's funny, and
Yeah.
then it gets super serious. And then maybe the main character tries to hang themselves because they feel guilty. And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
wait, okay, wow,
Yeah.
wow. I don't know how he got besides the fact that that kid is the kid.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got the kid initially. Did he like run by snatch and then run away?
Yeah, that's it. Listen, there's some logistical questions for
Did
sure.
Did he just bend over from far away?
Also, we're gonna get into spoilers. I don't want to spoil this movie for you. It's definitely,
I have no idea how you'd watch this movie.
you know what? It might come up somewhere. You could rent it on Amazon, maybe.
I would be mad at Amazon for putting it there.
But those are our movies that we saw yesterday. We're gonna see a couple movies today. Today might be a lighter day. And are we gonna do another one of these tomorrow? Or are we gonna save it all for once we do the full episode?
We might have to, just because we got to pack up tomorrow and be out of the
Yeah.
Airbnb. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Sam Basher, at DJ Talks Trash,
That's
because we're
it.
going to be tweeting out reviews there and posting stuff on our social media stuff. We're going to be doing a meetup later today if you're watching live.
Come join us.
At 5 p.m. at Shake Shack by the South Lamar Alamo Draft House. And I will be tweeting out that as well today, so for more details. Hopefully we can see you guys there. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this content and tune in for our main podcast and the rest of our programming once we get back. We're going to be doing a little adjusting, and then we'll be back to regularly scheduled programming.
All right.
See you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.